So let's get started. So these are the three objectives for today's session. First of all, we hope that after attending this 1 hour webinar, you will be able to introduce yourself confidently in a variety of contexts. In real life, each and every context that we face is unique. So this webinar will help you to understand the minute differences in language that we need to be aware of when we face different kind of contexts where we have to introduce ourselves. Also, we hope that after this webinar, you will be able to make a good first impression, because when we meet anybody, a group of people or just one individual, the way we start our conversation, the way we introduce ourselves has a huge impact on what people think about us. So making a good, strong first impression will also be something that we hope you will be able to do after attending this webinar. So here are some do's and don'ts about introducing yourself professionally. So we will try to keep the discussion for today's webinar around the professional context, because that's where we are expected to in day-to-day lives. So the first thing is know your audience. What kind of relationship do you have with the people with whom you are meeting? In what kind of a setting are you meeting your audience? So it's very important to keep that context in mind. So in real life, whether we choose to be formal, informal, or semi formal, this depends on our audience. For example, if you get a transfer to a new school and it's your first day, and you walk into the principal's office to give your joining letter, that is definitely a formal context, right? But on the same first day, when you're entering the staff room to know your colleagues, then that is a semi formal context. You don't want to use the same kind of language you use for the principal or the head teacher with your potential colleagues or students, because the two contexts are different. One is formal, the other is semi formal. Therefore, it is very important for us to be mindful of our context or the audience with whom we are interacting. The second point is go beyond your professional title. So, when I'm introducing myself, if I simply say, I'm Monishita Pandey and I am a faculty at Ambedkar University, Delhi, and stop there, then we will not be able to move beyond that. If we want to have a conversation, then I have to go beyond my professional title. I have to talk about my contribution. What is my uniqueness? What have I done in my university? What makes me a unique contributor to the academic life of the university, right? Ismail Garu, can you mute yourself? Ismail Garu, please mute yourself. Thank you. Right. So when you are introducing yourself, remember that just telling your professional affiliation is not enough. To have to talk about something that is original. Be original. Original means each one of us have a uniqueness about ourselves. We are all teachers, but there is something about us which defines who we are as a teacher. So think about maybe one adjective that defines you, who you are as a teacher. For example, if you ask me to think of an adjective which can explain my originality or my uniqueness, I would say I am a very, very passionate teacher. Whatever I do in my class, whatever I plan for my students, I get very emotionally involved in it. I am genuinely involved in the lives of my students or my profession. So I think I'm driven by passion and emotion, right? Not in a negative way, but in a positive way. So similarly, sit back and think. Think, what is that one thing which defines you as a teacher? If you do this kind of a reflection and you arrive at your contribution to your school's academic life, your originality as a teacher, then that you can bring into your introduction. That's going to have a very good impact on the audience. The next point is prepare. Suppose you are attending an orientation program and you are expected to introduce yourself to a group of 20 teachers or 200 teachers. Plan your introduction. Think about what are the things you want to include in it. Next is be mindful of the cultural context. This is a very important point. For example, in our cultural context, we say namaskaram and we introduce ourselves. Right? In the north, we say namaste and we begin our introduction. Or in different parts of our country, there are different cultural ways in which we greet and we start our introduction. So be mindful of that. If we visit any event which is at the international level, then when we meet others who come from outside India, for example, people shake hands and then they begin their introduction. Although, of course, in this coronavirus and COVID 19 situation, even people in the Western countries are saying that namaskaram is better than shaking hands. We already have social distancing taken care there. But in normal contexts, if you are traveling to a place where you have an international audience, then you might want to open yourself up to a different cultural context of shaking hands. If it's a semi formal context, for example, then people often give a hug, not a very close hug, but a semi hug. So, uh, so you have to be mindful of it. You have to see in what context you are there, what is the cultural, dominant cultural understanding between people, and observe that, and also be flexible, be open to that, right? So, for example, if somebody comes to our country, they come to our school, they are from, say, some other country. If they come and they say namaskaram, we feel very nice. We feel very touched that wow, they are respecting our culture. Similarly, if you go out of the country or if you are in a event where there are international audience, then you also might want to their ways of greeting each other or other things, right? The last point on the slide is be careful when it comes to acting funny while introducing yourself. Now, some of us have very good skills of being humorous. We like to crack jokes. But I would say that when you are introducing yourself for the first time, it's better not to crack any jokes because you never know how people will take your jokes. You can annoy somebody, someone can get angry or upset if they don't like your joke. So it's better not to get into too much of jokes or funny things because that can also hurt people. You never know, right? Now, moving on to the next slide, let's just look at some language expressions for introducing ourselves and others. My name is. This is again formal. So when we are in a formal situation, we say my name is so and so. I am. Now look at the contraction here. It says I am. I am. I am Monishita. Look at the difference. I am Monishita versus I'm Monishita. Using these weak forms, we call these weak forms. We will come to this in a while in detail. But we use these weak forms in English to make our speech sound natural. The next language expression is nice to meet you. I am Monishita. Pleased to meet you. I am Monishita. This is semi formal. Nice to meet you. Pleased to meet you. Or it can be formal also, formal, semi formal, both. Let me introduce myself. I am Monishita. This is a formal way of introducing. I would like to introduce myself. I am Monishita. So this is again formal. So the first one is formal to semi formal. The second one is informal, semi formal. Next is semi formal to formal. And the last two are again formal. So as you can see, the language expression choose is also connected very closely with the formality or informality of our audience, our relationship with the interlocutors. Now let's look at introducing others. After we've introduced ourselves, we might have somebody with us whom we want to introduce. So here are some expressions. Rama, please meet Nilima. This could be one. Rama, have you met Nilima? Next one. I would like you to meet Nilima. Fourth, I would like to introduce you to Nilima. And the last, Leela, this is Ravi. Ravi, this is Leela. So again, you can see some of these expressions are formal, some are informal or semi-formal. For example, Rama meet Nilima, Nilima meet Rama. This can be used in both informal to, actually this can be used for any of the Rama, have you met Nilima? This is informal. I would like you to meet Nilima. This is semi formal. I would like to introduce you to Nilima. This is very formal. And Leela, this is Ravi. Ravi, this is Leela. This is again formal to semi formal. Now let's go to the next slide. Here are some responses, right? So when somebody introduces you to somebody else, then you can simply smile and say, nice to meet you, pleased to meet you, happy to meet you, how do you do? So these are some expressions. Now let's look at this dialogue. This is a formal context. So we have a teacher called Anita Rao. Let's imagine that she has come to a new school. This is her first day of school, and she has walked into the room of her head teacher. This is a conversation between Anita, a new teacher, and Satya, the head teacher. Let's look at the conversation. Hello, good morning. My name is Anita Rao. I am the new English teacher. Hello, good morning. I am Satyanarayan. Nice to meet you, Miss Anita Rao. Please meet Ravi, my assistant. Hello, how do you do? How do you do? So, there are some very interesting things in this conversation which we need to note. The first thing is, in formal context, we should use our full name, right? As you see in the conversation, Anita says, my name is Anita Rao. She uses her full name. Now, the second point is, let us understand the difference between MS, MRS, MISS. What is the difference? How do we pronounce them? MS stands for Ms, not Miss, Ms with Z. Next one is Mrs. and the third is Miss. So, Ms, Mrs, Miss. Now, why have I crossed Mrs. there on the screen? I will explain to you. Few years back, till very recently, we used to think that women, they should always reveal their marital status, whether they're married or they're unmarried. They should announce it to the audience, right? But with lots of changes happening in gender equality, gender sensitivity, especially in workplace, when we are talking about equal treating your employees equally, and a male teacher and a female teacher should not feel any discrimination. These kind of discourses have come into language. So now we believe that a woman should have a choice whether she wants to declare whether she's married or not. So, as a woman, I have a choice whether I want to say that I am a Miss or a Mrs. I should not be forced to expose my marital status. Because if you look at Mr., if I say this is Mr. Rajesh Garu, then you cannot guess whether he is married or he is unmarried. But for women, we have two terms, Miss for unmarried and Mrs. for married. So therefore, lots of people, they questioned this. They said that why is there a discrimination? Why is there a difference? Women should also have access to a salutation, a term which is neutral, which does not have to force her to tell the audience whether she's married or she's unmarried. So nowadays we use the term Ms, MS. When you are introducing somebody, a lady, a woman, then you did not say Mrs. You can say Ms, because just like Mr., right? Another very important thing is Miss. When do we use MISS? We use Miss for young girls, below 18 girls, who are not considered women. right? So I repeat myself. Nowadays, we say that just like for men, we use Mr. We do not distinguish whether they're married or unmarried. Similarly, for women, we have a neutral term called Ms. MS. Therefore, we will try to use Miss for all women, whether they're married or unmarried. We will try to avoid using Mrs. until and unless somebody tells you that they want to be addressed like that. Okay. And the third option is Miss, MISS, which is for young girls, right? And doctor, we know in our context, it is of course doctoral doctor, not the medical doctor. Now let's come to the third point. Please do not use Mr., Ms., Doctor for self introduction, because self introduction means you are introducing yourself. You are not supposed to give these kind of respectable titles to yourself. It's like I cannot say Andariki Namaskaram, I am Monishita Garu. Can I say I'm Monishita Garu? That will be funny because I should not use Garu for myself, right? So similarly, I am not supposed to say I am Dr. Monishita Pandey. No, I will only say I am Monishita Pandey. Others, when they are introducing me, like when Srinivas Garu was introducing me, then he said that our resource person is Dr. Monishita Pandey. So remember this very clearly, that for self introduction, we should not use Mr., Ms., Miss, Doctor. We should just use our name and full name in formal context. Whereas when we are introducing other people, then we are supposed to give these respectable titles. The next point is, how do you do? How do you do is not really a question. How do you do simply means hello. It's just an expression. So if somebody tells you how do you do, you don't say good, good, I'm good. No, you will simply say how do you do. That's it. Let's also note the difference between hello, hi, and hey. Hello is more formal than hi. Hi is more formal than hey. Hey is very, very informal. Hey, what's up? That's a very informal. Hi, I am Monishita, semi formal. Hello, I am Monishita Pandey. This is formal. The next point is using good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night. Let's note that we use good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for formal conversations only. If you are trying to talk to a colleague for the first time, you don't have to always say good morning, because that will not help you to break the ice. You can simply say hi and you can start your conversation. So, another important thing is good night. Good night. We never start a conversation with good night. Good night is always used to end a conversation, never to begin a conversation. So I hope that some important parts of this to us in terms of using full name, use of salutations, and use of formal greetings and informal greetings. Let's move to the next slide. Now, at this point of time, I would like to request Hemlata Garu to join us. Hello, Hemlata Garu.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so we are going to enact a formal conversation in front of you. Let me explain the situation. So there are two people here. We have Leelavati, who is a new teacher, and we have a principal, right? So Leelavati has joined a new school today, and she is walking into the principal's office to introduce herself and to give her joining letter. So let us look at this conversation. Can we start, Hema ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's begin. Good morning, ma'am. I am A.B. Leelavati. I have been recently transferred to the school as the teacher.
Good morning. Welcome, Miss Leelavati. I am happy to have you here.
Thank you. I am very excited to join your school.
Glad to know that. So, where did you work before the transfer?
I worked in ZPHS Porumamilla.
For Mamila. Okay, that's nice. What's your qualification?
I am a postgraduate in English. and I did Bachelor's of Education with English methodology. However, I believe in the phrase to teach is to learn twice over.
So you are a lifelong learner. It's great to see your enthusiasm, Miss Leelavati. So have you found a comfortable place here?
Yes, ma'am. I have found a good accommodation.
Where do you live?
I live nearby, very close to the school. In fact, I really like this place. The ambience is so peaceful and people are very kind.
Well, I warm welcome to you. I hope you'll enjoy working here for the welfare of our students.
Yes, ma'am. I promise I will try to give my best. Thank you. Thank you, Hema ma'am, for helping us with that conversation.
Thank you,
Now
ma'am.
let's quickly look at some important things to observe in this conversation. As you saw, this is a formal context. You have a new teacher walking into her principal's office, trying to make a good impression, good first impression with her principal. She will give her joining letter after this and start her new journey. So that is the context. So she's using good morning, good afternoon. So she can use good morning because that's a very formal context. So she's meeting her for the first time. We also observed some weak forms, like instead of I am, instead of I will, I'll, instead of I have, instead of saying did not, didn't, instead of do not, don't, instead of cannot, can't, etc. etc. So these are all called weak forms. So in English, spoken English especially, remember in written English, we should not use weak forms. In written English, we should write full I am, I have, I do not, etc. But for spoken English, if we use these contracted forms or weak forms, then it gives some sort of natural flow to to our speech. It makes us sound very comfortable and fluent. So contractions and weak forms help us to develop fluency. So you can think about this. Or for example, instead of saying madam, if you say ma'am, then that is again very conversational and it adds to your naturalness in speech. Another important point is when you're introducing yourself in formal context, then instead of saying MA, you can say postgraduate. I'm a postgraduate or I'm a graduate. Instead of saying B.Ed, you can say Bachelor's in Education. We will see more examples in the later half of the webinar. Next is use unique impression. Create a unique impression. For example, in the conversation, Leelavati said, to teach is to learn twice over. So she is trying to use a phrase which will communicate to her principal that she is a very open minded person. She believes that teaching is nothing but actually learning, right? Going back to Piaget's theory, remember, our children already have the natural trait to learn. They already know a lot. So they are not empty vessels. So we as teachers, we believe that we are also learning. So she used this phrase to express her openness, her flexibility. And she also expressed a positive attitude by saying that I will try to do my best. I am a very open kind of a person. So, you know, in your introductions, if you uh, communicate to your audience that you are a positive person, you express your positivity through some way, then it always helps you to bond with people, to create a good impression. There are also some words there, if you note. In a formal conversation, instead of saying my house is nearby, you can say I have or I have got a good house. You can say I have got a good accommodation. Accommodation means a place to live, right? Especially when you have gone to a new place, and you're looking for a place to stay, not like your own house. Accommodation is not used for a house that belongs to you, which you are owner of. Accommodation is used for a rented place where you have got and you are going to stay for some time. Ambience can be used instead of atmosphere. That is again a more uh, refined or formal way of saying that the uh, the feel of the place, the aura of the place, the energy of the place is very conducive, is very nice for you. Okay, we move to the of the webinar, semi-formal conversation. So we have discussed formal conversation, and now we are going to a semi-formal situation. Now, let's understand what we are trying to do in this section. We are saying that as teachers, we all have to do certain things to keep learning, right? So for our own professional development, we go and attend and meet people. For example, a district level workshop or a course. For example, the spoken English course is a CPD activity, continuous professional development activity. Right now, because of COVID-19, this is happening completely on online mode. But in normal context, you have to go and meet people physically, right? For workshops, for seminars, for meetings, for conferences at some point, right? So, how do we introduce ourselves in a CPD activity? CPD means continuing professional development. Now, before we look at a conversation, let us remember a few things. When you have gone for a course, for example, or a workshop that your school wants you to attend, you are in an event. There are, say, 200 teachers who are attending it, okay? And you are trying to meet more people, new people whom you don't know. Take initiative to introduce yourself, okay? Don't always wait that others will come and talk to me, then only I will talk. Take initiative, because only when you try to go and connect with people, they will get a chance to connect with you, right? Next is take genuine interest in people. Don't just ask people's name just like that. If you get an opportunity to initiate a conversation, take interest in that person. Try to understand what kind of a teacher he or she is. What do they do in their class? What is their teaching philosophy? uh, have they done something unique for their children or for their school? What are their achievements? What is their belief about teaching? Engage genuinely, show interest in people's way of teaching or being a teacher. The third point is again very important, especially for spoken English. Many a times, what we do is we put many negative thoughts in our heads. When we go to an event, we look at everybody and we think, oh, nobody likes me. If I go and talk to somebody, they will think something about me. Oh, I am not good enough. I cannot speak good English. No, 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 I should not try. So we hold ourselves back from introducing ourselves. Let's not do that. Let's assume, let's believe that everybody likes me. In this room, whoever is there, everybody likes me. Let me just think that everybody likes me. Then you will feel comfortable to go and at least try and initiate a conversation. And the final point is highlight your passion, your uniqueness in the profession, right? Like I said, think of an adjective which defines you as a teacher. What is it that you have done uniquely for your school? What is it that makes you different from your colleagues? They are also very good teachers. They have their specialty. You have your specialty. Think about that and foreground it in your introduction. First of all, notice one thing very carefully. This was a CPD context, and this is the first time you're meeting this teacher. But instead of being very formal, very officious, good morning, I would like to introduce myself. Instead of taking a very formal kind of a language and context, Rajesh sir, he opted for a semi-formal context. Why? Because he thought that if I try to break the ice with my colleagues, because they can be my future collaborators, we can work together, we can sit in the workshop and do things together. After the workshop, we can connect with each other as fellow teachers. So even when you're meeting somebody for the first time, but you want to break the ice and you know that you will become part of the same team, then try to keep it semi-formal rather than being very officious and very formal. So instead of saying good morning, you can simply say hi or hello. That's totally fine. Uh, Share your passion about the profession and similar interests. So something that I have been telling you, that talk about your originality. Like we saw in this conversation, each of the teachers, they talked about who they are as teachers, right? Like Moni ma'am told about uh, uh, the fact that she believes in outdoor teaching, right? Experiential learning. Hema ma'am said that she believes in drama techniques. She likes students to get into storytelling or into creative work like making TLMs. So each and every one of us have something about ourselves which is unique. So share that, because only when you share that, then you will find common interest. Like Rajesh sir and Hema ma'am, they found a common interest of TLM, right? So the more and more you share about yourself, you will find other people coming in and having an interesting conversation. Now, when you're in a group, especially, and two people are talking, and you have one or two people who are just watching you, then it is a very rude thing to do. Like I and you are talking, and there is third person standing there. That person is not getting the chance to talk. That's a rude thing. So if you see that someone is there in the group, one or two people who are only observing, then you should interrupt and ask the person to introduce the other person, right? So for example, Moni and Rajesh, they got introduced, and Rajesh asked Moni to introduce Hema because Hema and Moni were together, right? So signal, how do you signal? By saying, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can you introduce me to your colleague or your friend, something like that. So bring other people into the conversation and get mutual introductions done. To involve everybody, be inclusive. The next point is, you may not be comfortable to share your numbers. Some of us, we like to share our numbers freely. Some of us, we believe in privacy. We don't want to give our number to everybody. But never say no in a CPD context, because CPD is all about networking. And we are going to have one session on spoken English for networking after a few days next week. So we'll discuss that in detail there. But uh, for the present conversation, let's remember that if anybody asks for your phone number, you should never say no, 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 I can't give you my phone number. That is very rude. Okay, so you have to politely find an excuse. So like in this conversation, we saw that Hema ma'am said that um, I'm not on WhatsApp, I'm not on social media. So why don't you take my email ID? So always offer your email address. Don't deny phone number and not give an alternate way to contact. Right? So if you don't want to share your number, you can say, I'm not on social media. I'm not on. I have a little connectivity issues in my house, so phone doesn't work for me. Please take my email address. I'm very comfortable with email, something like that. So always share your contact. If not phone number, then email address for sure. Then comes yeah, so I think we have discussed that point already, that don't ever say no and don't deny a contact detail to anybody who is asking for it. uh, Now, the next section is introducing yourself to a group of teachers. So, right now, so far, we were looking at one to one introduction or one and two people introduction in a small group. Now, we will see that if we have to stand and introduce ourselves to a big audience, 20 people, 30 people, like in an orientation program, a workshop, right? So, how do we do that? So, for this section, I invite Hemlata ma'am to please take over.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, welcome, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Okay. As teachers, we are continuous learners. So we need to attend orientation programs for our continuous professional development. In such programs, it's only common to introduce ourselves to the fellow group of teachers. For instance, let's say, good morning, everyone. I'm Hemalata. I teach English at ZPHS Narayanvanam. I'm a postgraduate in English and I specialized in English methodology in my Bachelor of Education. In my free time, I like reading books and listening to music. I think my strengths are that I'm a quick learner and I don't give up easily. My weakness is that Sometimes I become stubborn and egoistic. I'm a very passionate teacher, and I believe that my primary responsibility is to shape my young learners into good citizens. I'm looking forward to getting to know you all. Thank you very much for having me here. So, here we have to remember that, as ma'am said already, instead of saying MA, MSc, I'm a postgraduate in English, I'm a postgraduate in science. If you say like that, it will be more impactful. And for self-introduction, do not use Mr., Miss, or Doctor. Others may use it for you, as already ma'am said this one. And also, if we describe ourselves, if we use catchy adjectives, it will be good. For instance, I'm a passionate teacher, I'm a hardworking teacher, I'm an enthusiastic teacher, I'm a sincere teacher, like that. It will connect more. It will sound more good. By mentioning our hobbies to audience feel that you are known person. By mentioning our strengths, like I'm a quick learner, I'm an avid reader, they feel that they are at home with you. And also, if you mention our weaknesses, they also, our audience feel that they are very close to us. And as a teacher, we have to share our vision. For example, I believe that my primary responsibility is to shape my students into good citizens, or to inculcate moral values in my students, or to teach positive attitude, to develop positive attitude in my students. That will be good, that will say our vision to audience. Whenever we use profession terms in English, we use indefinite article as. Here, I would like to say that in our reading material, there is a typing error, definite article. So please correct it as indefinite article. So when we say profession terms, I'm a teacher, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a business analyst, like that. When we say profession terms in English, we should use indefinite article. So with this, I have concluded. Now, Monsta ma'am is going to discuss another situation. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Himlata ma'am, for that very clear explanation of introduction to a group of people in a formal context. Now we are going to discuss the last topic of today's webinar, introducing yourself to a group of students. Now remember, in a CPD context, you're introducing in a formal context. Now with students, we don't want to make it very formal. We want to keep it semi-formal, because the way we introduce ourselves to our students will go a long way in deciding the kind of relationship we'll strike with them, right? Making a good first impression in front of your class is also equally important. You want to build a good rapport, a good warm relationship. So here, um, let's say that it's my first class of the term. I'm meeting a new group of students, and I am in a class, and let's do a little model kind of a conversation. So I have children here who will be with me to take part in this model conversation. This is Ahiri and this is Shyam. Welcome to the webinar. Can we start?
Yes.
Okay. So here we go. Good morning, everyone. I am Monishita Pandey. I am your new English teacher.
Good morning, ma'am.
I have heard that you all are very hardworking and talented. Each one of us have some hidden talent, isn't it? Hmm? Okay, now let me tell you something about myself. Right? I'm your new teacher. You want to know something? Yes? Okay. I love reading books and traveling. When I visit new places, you know what I do? I collect some interesting things from there and I keep it with me. I look forward to going out, maybe on an exciting school trip or something. Yeah? Okay, now I think I have said a lot about myself. I want to know about all of you. So I want all of you to introduce yourself, tell your name, and one thing that you like. Let's start with you.
I am Mahiri. I like sing.
Ahiri, I am sure you sing well. You have a beautiful voice, Ahiri. So you like singing. Very good. Would you like to sing your favorite song? Come on, Ahiri. A big round of applause for Ahiri. Let's clap. Okay, so let's now understand this little conversation, right? When you are trying to introduce yourself to your class and you're connection with your or the students, then try not to use active voice. Try not to say that this class consists of good students. I have heard that this class has talented students. Instead of putting it in a passive manner, it is good to use you. The moment you say I have heard you all, then each and every student sitting in the class will connect with you. They will think, oh, ma'am is talking to me. So using you helps us to make instant connection. Next is share your likes, dislikes, some family story, some personal anecdote which is inspiring, because research has shown that students are genuinely interested to know about their teachers. Remember that a student and teacher relationship is not just limited to the textbook and the information. It is a very special relationship. What we tell our students go a long way in determining what they think about themselves and their future. So the students are very interested to know about their teachers lives. So think about a story from your childhood which has stayed with you, or think about your favorite story which is inspiring. So say something like that, or talk about your personal likes, dislikes. These immediately help students to come close to you and help in rapport building. Another very important thing is we have to be very careful about the language we use in class. When I say, I have heard that you all are hardworking and talented, remember, I am using these two words very consciously and carefully. What type of adjective should I use in the class? Try to use adjectives which can be achieved through efforts. Like being hardworking is not something which we are born with. We can become more and more hardworking. Or being sincere, being punctual, being kind, for example. These are qualities that human beings can inculcate in them. So if you use these kind of adjectives, then what will happen in class? Everybody will feel that yes, I can become hardworking. Even if a student is not punctual, he or she will think, my ma'am said that you all are very punctual. Then you that student will try to think that yes, I should be punctual or I should do my homework properly. So try to think of adjectives which can be inculcated, which can be developed over time. If you are using inborn kind of adjectives like talented, intelligent, bright, these kind of smart, these kind of adjectives, then please try to use a disclaimer. For example, I said, I have heard you all are talented. We all have some hidden talent, isn't it? So when I say we all have a hidden talent, then even the child in your class who has a low self-esteem, who thinks that he is not talented or she is not talented, she will think, oh, ma'am said we have hidden talents, which means I also must be having some talent. Or when you're saying you all are very intelligent, then you should also say just being good in maths is not intelligent. Intelligence are of different types. Some of us are intelligent with nature, some of us are intelligent with each other, interpersonal. Remember, we had discussed multiple intelligence theory in the previous set of webinars. So if you're using these kind of adjectives, then also tell your students that, it's not important. I mean, everybody is intelligent in their own ways, everybody is talented in their own ways. So be inclusive. Don't use words in a way which is going to feel your make your students, some students, one or two students also in the class, should not feel excluded. Because remember that children, they take every word uttered from your mouth very seriously. I'm sure when we look back and think about our childhood, if we remember one teacher who told us something positive, we carry that as the truth. That, I remember my geography teacher had told me that I am a very talented person. Nobody told me I was talented when I was small, by the way. I used to always hear that I'm the younger in the family, so people used to say, oh, she's very shy, she cannot talk. But my geography teacher had said that I'm very talented, and that word stayed with me. As I grew older, I told myself, no, I am talented, I am going to nurture certain qualities in me. So remember that, don't brand your students or label them as bright, dumb, intelligent, not intelligent. We have to be very careful when we are using these adjectives. We have to say things which will make everybody feel comfortable, that yes, I can also become punctual. I am also intelligent in my own way. I may not be good in maths, but I'm good in language. I may not be good in language, I'm good in science. Something. I'm good in art. Maybe I'm not good in speaking. I'm not good in speaking. Maybe I'm good in reading. So every student must feel that yes, there is one aspect of this adjective which I can relate to. Another important point is using rhetorical devices. Like when you are introducing yourself with the class, ask these kind of questions. Isn't it? Shouldn't we go for a school trip? Do you want to know about me? Now, these are rhetorical questions, questions which you don't expect people to say, no, no, ma'am, we don't want to listen to you. No, right? These are, isn't it? So these are rhetorical. It only reinforces what you're saying and connects with the audience. Reduce anxiety of performance and nervousness. Remember, it's the first class of the term, or it's a new school that you have joined. So when you are asking students to introduce themselves, instead of making them stand and introduce, it can add to anxiety. Because remember, if you have to stand in front of the whole class and introduce, it is full of performance pressure. So don't do that. Ask all the students to come together and form a circle, and then one by one people can introduce. Or everybody in the class can stand and do it. Or everybody can sit down and they can introduce. So create a very comfortable, cozy environment for introduction. Everybody is sitting and one person is standing and introducing is very anxiety laden kind of an activity. So take care of those things also. And the final point here is, class introductions can be done in many, many creative ways. There are different kind of ice breaking activities. Lots of them are available on the internet. We are going to leave a YouTube link in the description of this video. You can watch that. It's a 5-minute small video which shows you one way of doing class introductions in a very active so one way in which I do my class introductions every year, when I start a new class, new batch of students, what I do is I ask my students to think of one adjective defines them, and it starts with the same letter of their name. So, for example, my name is Monishita. The first letter is M. So, I think of an adjective like magical. So, I say, we take a ball, we stand in a circle, and I throw the ball at somebody. They get the ball and they have to introduce themselves using an adjective. So, for example, if the ball comes to me, I say, hello everyone, I am magical Monishita, and I throw the ball. So then other students, they use different adjectives like I'm good looking Garima, or I'm sweet Shweta, etc., etc. So this is just one example, but there are many, many creative ways in which class introductions can be done, and you can explore such ideas for your classes. Thank you so much. Right? When I say, how are you? Fine, thank you. Okay. But how do you do does not mean how are you. How do you do means hello. It's just another way to say hello. How do you do is very formal, actually, and in day to day context, we generally use how are you? How are you? I'm fine. So, fine, thank you. So, first point is both of them mean different things. How are you means how are you, just you get a response for it. How do you do does not give you a response. If you say how do you do, the other person will also say how do you do. How do you do should always be answered through how do you do, not good, bad, ugly, stressed. No, how do you do will be how do you do. So how do you do just means hello, and we use it in a very very formal context, and we don't really have to bother much about that. Thank you, sir. So you can actually play some games around it, right? For example, you can introduce 5 words, maybe not all the words. So did not, do not, have not, cannot, and maybe one more. I will take these 5 only and give them the short forms, the contracted forms, and then you can do it through repetition. You can do it through some game where they have to uh, talk about themselves. For example, what I do with my students is uh, 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 I ask, so I take a ball, we sit in circle, and then I pass the ball to a student. The student has to take the ball and make one sentence with don't. So they have to think of one thing that they don't do, which is part of their moral values, right? For example, these are adult learners, so they will say I smoke. So that creates some fun in the class, because people are like, okay, this boy is very particular about this. Or some girl will say, uh, uh, I don't tease others. So when you say I don't tease others or I don't bully others, then others say that okay, this person is very nice. So you can tell your students to think of one bad habit that they don't do, you know so you can create these interesting topics in the class, and you can make them play some games to practice this don't, can't. These are difficult for our students, they need practice. So you can think of some activities like that, and you can make them practice. That will be important. That's why we are giving them in the textbook, because otherwise we have seen that our students um, who don't have too much exposure to English, when they go out in the world and they speak, their speech is very formal. you know Even if day to day conversation, they are being very very formal to each other, they are not able to catch that natural flow of speaking English.